Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money.
Hello. Happy Thursday, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here at Fly Nubian Money. So welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we master your mindset and maximize your money. I am joined by this awesome panel here. We have below me, we got Joe, the therapist in his house. And to my, let me see. Okay, what's that? My left, my right? We have Nomalanga, cultural advocate, and here in the look here, bottom right corner for y'all, I think we have Aisha, insurance and financial expert. Thank y'all so much for joining me today. Hello to Nick Washington. Thank y'all for being here. Give us some love in the chat. We are going to need it for this episode. Okay. So we're going to be talking about what just happened with Shiloh Hendrix. All right. So today we're diving into this shocking story that exposes just how far some people are willing to go to profit from hate. Shiloh Hendrix, a woman from Minnesota, raised now $700,000, I believe, after a video surfaced showing her targeting a 5-year-old Black child with racial slurs. What's even more disturbing is this platform where the campaign was launched. It's called GiveSendGo. It's profiting from this hate. Activist Kiandria Demone discovered this and is now leading the charge to stop it. We'll talk about the harmful cycle of hate speech and how companies are profiting from it and what we can do to put an end to it. All right. So thank y'all so much for joining us here. This may be a heavy topic. Trigger warning for some of you guys for the videos and the topics we're going to discuss today. All right, let's get into it. So, Nomalanga, how does this incident reveal the cultural double standards in how Black children are treated versus white children? What do you think about that? And let me preface that to say, this child, I believe, has autism.
Okay, so it's not really revealing anything, in my opinion. It's something that we already know. Those who already know me know I'm a huge advocate of homeschooling, and part of the reason why I advocate for homeschooling is because Black children are just not treated the same in public schools, where the majority of the children are not Black children.
Right.
So it's not revealing anything. It enrages us. It's very disappointing. It's hurtful, but unfortunately, it's not anything.
No, true. Joe, have you heard about this story? What are your thoughts on it?
I've heard about it. I read up on it a little bit prior to this episode. Disgusting. That's all I got right now.
Yes. Aisha, what about you?
Yeah, when I saw the video as well, it was sad, and but I also realized that it's just people are just going to do that because they know a lot of people are going to get triggered by that. So, but I saw it, a few days ago, and I heard about it, and I said, yeah, those are the things that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis sometimes.
Yeah. And that's a good point. Things that we have to deal with, right? Should we have to deal with it? That's another thing, because humans are going to be humans. All right, let's go to the video and take a look at what actually happened.
Call him a nigger, the child?
The fuck you talking
Did you
about?
call the child the nigger word?
None of your fucking business.
It is my own business. You call him a nigger? Okay, why don't you have the balls to say it right now again?
Fuck you, nigger.
Okay. All right, that's what you say.
Shiloh Hendrix, the white woman who appeared to hurl a racist slur at a black child in a now viral video, has raised over $600,000 in donations for herself on a fundraising page. Hendrix appeared to call a 5-year-old child the N-word at a park in Minnesota, and she now claims her family has been attacked and they may need to relocate. The fundraising page, which was initially flooded with donations from people expressing racist beliefs and sympathies, has raised over $600,000, surpassing its $50,000 goal.
You don't go digging through people's shit, you dumb fuck.
Nobody dig into your shit.
A little fucking kid just did, you dumbass.
That little kid, you call him a nigger?
Yeah.
The little child?
What if he acts like one? He's gonna.
Are you about to hit him? You chase him here?
He took my son's stuff.
So that gives you the right to call the child, 5-year-old, a nigger, the N-word.
If that's what he's gonna act.
That's
like.
what you're gonna call him.
That's what he's gonna act like.
You know, that's a hate speech. And you can be recorded for that.
I don't give a shit.
Huh.
Fuck off.
Okay, we'll see about that, what the internet has to say about you.
Wow. So my initial reaction, I'm pissed, but you know, that's what they want us to be, pissed. On one hand, I'm like, I'm pissed. And on the other hand, I'm like, coming from somebody like you. Anyway, Joe, I have a question for you. So what about the psychological effects, and how do the psychological effects of Black children and things like this that happen to Black children or happen in front of Black children, how does this affect them psychologically?
Yeah, racial trauma is a real thing. You know what I mean? It's a real thing. You can internalize that and start to devalue yourself if you're not told over and over again that you have value, and your value does not have anything to do with the color of your skin, or at least you're devaluing you has nothing to do with the color of your skin. So, you know, it's going to take some psychoeducation, constant reassurance for children like this to understand, you know what I mean? Like, what did I actually do here? Because he's a young, so he feels like though this person is mad. So he perceives that as, I've done something wrong. What have I done here? I'm Black in a space where I shouldn't be Black, which is everywhere in America. So, I mean, it does have its effect. It does take its toll, but you know, it can be reversed, and you can do something about it.
So that's interesting, racial trauma, and that's definitely what it is and what it's causing, and then how that equates to your self-worth and your value as a child. I'm just thinking about my daughter, right? And I shelter her from things like this. She doesn't know that things like this go on in the world, but it's becoming more and more apparent to me that soon I'm going to start having real serious and deep and triggering conversations with her. And I don't want her to start right now. She doesn't believe anything negative about her Blackness, but I don't want her to start feeling negative about her Blackness. How do parents, Joe, just want to piggyback on what you were just saying, how do parents go about having that conversation without causing more damage, or not more damage, but like self-esteem, self-worth, self-value damage to their children?
Well, it's very difficult, right? But the best way to approach any conversation like this that has anything to do with trauma is always, first of all, do a check-in with the feelings. Like, how does this feel? You know what I mean? What's going on? What did it bring up for you? And be honest with your child. I mean, you know, the best way to avoid history or repeating history is to be aware of it. So, I mean, unfortunately for us, it's a reality that we have to educate our children on, you know, our existence in this country.
Yeah.
So that we don't, you know, so that they understand that, you know, and I'm not just the full history, right? Not just the negative history, or, you know, history that puts us down or make us feel or look less than, like the full history of who we are, the adversity that we've overcome. We have to educate so we have pride, you know, in who we are versus shame.
That's great. That's great. Aisha, we're going to go to commercial break, but when we come back, Aisha, I have a question for you about the ability of this company to actually fundraise or profit from the fundraiser. We'll be right back.
It's a good show right here.
but I'm biased. If you are just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. My name is Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I'm the proud producer of this show because it is lit. If you want to receive notifications for when we go live Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All you have to do is text the word Queens to 87948. That's Queens to 87948. That's QUEENS to 87948. Also, if you want to grow your money and not blow your money, all you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, there's courses, there's free giveaways. There's just no reason to be broke in 2025. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. Obviously, you don't want to be entertained here. You want to know enough to grow. Wait, I need to put that on a shirt. You got to know to grow. Got to know to grow. So know and grow with flynubianmoney.com.
Hey guys, welcome back. Thank you so much for being with us. And today we are discussing this tragic and really super offensive and horrible topic of this white woman who called a 5-year-old Black boy the N-word in a park of all places. So in the chat, thank you all so much for being here. What are your reactions to this video that we just showed and this story that's out? I'd love to hear from you guys and what your reactions are. So this woman is basically, she set up this fundraiser because she's now being targeted and canceled. I guess that, you know, this has compromised her income and things like that. I don't know the whole story, but I believe that she was fired from her job and everything. So she set up this fundraiser. And so Aisha, how does the ability to fundraise around hate speech further divide us as a race and, well, as a country with white people and Black people, and also deepen the financial insecurity that we have in the Black community?
You know, it's so unfortunate, really, because again, we're in a capitalist country, and then with the racial divide, right? So then everything that happens, you see that divide when it happens. And then she now goes into fundraise because she thinks now her life has been threatened, whatever excuses she's given. This place is just a platform. They just figure, well, she wants to raise money. We raise money on our platform. So they take a cut and they give her the cut. Right. And people are they're not the one doing anything. The people are giving her money. They're just a holding place for the money. Right. But for me, is all money good money? No, but they're in business, right? Capitalist country, just make the money however you want to make the money. Right. And perhaps maybe now they're now understanding what is behind the story. That's probably why you couldn't find it any longer, because now people are saying, oh, you're actually collecting money for something like this. So, but it just in the face value, they're just a platform to collect money. And people were willing to give this woman money because she asked for money, that she is in danger. And you know, when you say you're in danger, oh my goodness, yes, let's protect you. Right. And we know the history of this country. When a white female said she's in trouble, all hell break loose. Let's come and let's save her. Let's save her. And I'm like, you know what? The people that are giving her money, they should think about what they're doing. Right?
Oh no, they have. And that's the problem. They have thought about what they're doing, and they believe, and it's not even, I think that some people some people who are donating to her cause may be crazy enough or unstable enough to believe that they're doing the right thing. But there are also a large portion of those people, I am sure, they know it's not right, and they're for that because of their hate for Black people. And as far as the hate speech and whether or not a corporation can profit off of that, for me, that's the gray area. Of course, morally, there's right and wrong. And of course, this is wrong. But legally speaking, and legal doesn't mean it's right, because we see how we have laws in this country that are not right. But legally speaking, can they do that? And it looks like they can do that. Should they be doing that? No. And then the question goes to, like, how do we stop it? So Nomalanga, like, what do you think? What are your thoughts about that, about whether or not they should be able to do it, whether or not they should be able to collect that money and take a cut, and how can we stop it?
Well, we're living in Donald Trump's America. The first time Donald Trump got elected, I predicted that he would because I watched all the debates. But I mean, when he was in office, he would say the most outrageous things, and it would just fly. It would just kind of be okay for a lot of people. And then he came in a second time, and it like just blew my mind.
Yes.
So really, the way I perceive it is that the United States keeps telling us or showing us what kind of country we're living in, right?
Yep.
I'm fortunate enough that I don't live in America 100% of the time, but it constantly shows us what kind of country that we're living in when we are there, right? And that's the kind of country where minorities, especially Black people, are just in danger. There is no sympathy, there's no empathy. And quite honestly, my next big birthday is 50, and I started living in that country when I was 19. I'm just tired of hoping it'll get better.
Yes.
I'm not tired of doing the things that we need to do to make our lives better as Black people, but I'm just tired of hoping it'll change or hoping it'll get better. I'm just over that part.
It
But
feels
again,
like
I keep saying these things just they don't surprise me. If the president can say some of the things that he says, I mean, I remember that whole grab her by the whatever comment, and I thought there's no way they will elect him. But again, when I watched the debates, when he was still going against Hillary Clinton, I realized that people are actually for him. People are supporting him. They're gonna vote for him, and he's gonna get in. I can't believe it happened a second time, but here we are. But again, that just tells us what kind of place this is.
yes.
So should it surprise us that a white lady, when Becky cries, everybody comes to her to be her savior or whatever? No, that doesn't surprise me at all. But I will say something interesting that might surprise you. I've learned something, from being on this show. I often hear Joe as a therapist saying, you know what, we can never just discount people's lived experience, right? So she is there. She did what she did. She doesn't seem apologetic about it, but it is possible that after she did that, she actually is in danger or feels like she's in danger. It's possible that she actually has to move. It's possible that she lost her job and so on and so on. The unfortunate thing is if this had happened to a Black woman, she wouldn't get over $500,000. I mean, I heard it's up to 700,000. She can buy a new house, and 100,000 a year is a salary for some people, and live for 5 years, never having, buy the house and then have a salary for 5 years, and start over a new life.
Part of it. That's the disgusting part of it. But going back to what you said about Trump, and I have been saying this since he got in the first time. I knew that when he got in the first time, it's like I could see it all unraveling. That was just a test run to warm everybody up to the disgusting, the outward racism, the increase in hate speech and hate crimes. That was just to warm us up and to desensitize us to everything that was going to come. I was hoping that he was not going to get in this second term, but not at all surprised. And it's just a bubbling up. It's a bubbling up and things, it's like oil and water. Things are being separated where we've been trying to shake it up and keep it together for so long. And now it's just the oil is separating from the water and they feel emboldened to do so. And on one hand, I'm like, all right, let's see who comes to the top. Let's see. Because we've been living in this country for so long with all of that stuff that she just did. They say that at their dinner table. Okay. And now they're saying it outwardly. And although it does, it's disgusting and it creates emotional turmoil for us and our children. On one hand, it's like, is it more safe to see your enemy, or is it safer to know that it's there and not see it? Right? What do you think about that, Joe?
I think you're right. Listen, we have to. I deal with reality in my practice, reality and solution based therapy, because what you're saying is correct. We are where we are, all right, and it's better to it's better. I want her to be that way out in the open, versus putting her in a position where she can systematically harm me by hiding her hand when she's throwing rocks.
Yes.
I mean, so we're in a better position if people are outwardly showing their racism. So, in one turn, yes, Trump has desensitized the country as a whole to these racist ways, but in another way, he's brought a lot of people from outside. I mean, from behind the bush and the out front. Like, oh, it's people that you've been talking to and relating to on a regular basis that you had no idea felt this way. Now you know and understand exactly who they are, and you can move accordingly. So I personally appreciate when somebody is racist out loud. It gives me the choice to decide whether I want to deal with you or interact with you, versus you tricking or fooling me into thinking that you're okay when actually you hate me.
Yes, and that I totally agree. But it's a double-edged sword, because now we have to live in a constant state of anxiety and maybe even fear, depending on where you live. So we're going to go to commercial, and we will be right back.
I know you're busy, you got things to do, and you can't take us on the go with you every single day. Good news for you. We are now on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, now you can listen to us on Spotify. Search Fly Nubian Money and all the episodes shall appear. All you have to do is like, subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, leave some comments, tell people how you love us, so that when other people come along and are looking for a great show to watch, they can find Fly Nubian Money too. One last thing, and just in case you've been sitting under a rock, Fly Nubian Money now has an investment club. We are the Fly Nubian Money Club. It's easy. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com, and I am committed to bringing in top experts from all industries to help you level up. They're teaching us the skills that we need to compete in this market. We often say that nobody is coming to save us, not the government, but guess what? We're coming to save us. I'm coming to save you with the Fly Nubian Money Club. So listen, all you have to do again is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com. We have a 30-day free trial set up just for you, just for those people that are struggling. Even if you ain't struggling, you ain't got to struggle. I'm coming. Okay, let me stop playing. I'll see you soon.
Guys, welcome back. I'm so glad we coming to save each other. Okay, we are here to save each other. In the chat, let me know, guys. What are you thinking? My daughter is in the back of my head. The kids are in the back of my mind right now, like just here. And do you have any suggestions on how we can safeguard our children, but also, like Joe said, be honest with them and prepare them for this country that they're going to have to live in if we stay here, right? They have to deal with this. And I feel like on one hand, we want to safeguard them, and we don't want to feel like we're the parents of the children in 1930 and 1940, right? But on the other hand, we have to raise up some strong, determined, assertive children. We have to, because we can't afford to have them be as soft as their counterparts, because they're going to live a totally different life experience. So let me know in the chat what you guys think about that and what suggestions you might have. So Aisha, Joe was we were talking about trauma and everything. How do you think that trauma that we're experiencing individually, when we even hear or see stories like this, and as a Black community as a whole, how do you think that affects us financially? Because it does. And these topics are so layered when it comes to us, because everything affects us differently than everyone else in this country. But how do you think that trauma affects us financially when things like this happen?
That's a good question. How would that affect us financially? It just means sometimes we don't speak up, right? Or even opportunity opens itself up, we don't take it because we're worried about whether or not we will fit in that space. So consequently, we don't push to the next level. We just continue to maintain where we are because we don't want to get triggered because of our trauma.
Yeah.
So it's hard. And for me, I think that just going back to we're talking about how do we raise our kids, so that because they are going to be the next generation to lead, to earn income. How are we going to prepare them for that so that they don't end up being again at the same level or at the bottom. And it's all about, self-worth and also self-value, knowing that you are just as equal as anybody else. I could care less about your color. I could care less. Even till today, wherever I go, whoever I'm with, I see your character. If your character doesn't align with what I'm doing, I'm out of there, because I believe that we all have the right to feel good about who we are, and no human being should be allowed to belittle us. And for us to give them that so much power to actually accept it. Why
Yes.
am I going to give another human being that power to belittle me and I'll actually stay there? No,
Yes.
I will do the best I can to be around people that will raise me up and not allow me to be in that space, because they keep watching us and they think, oh, that's how they are. So we'll say something else, will bring them back down again. We don't want that. So we have to give our kids those tools to say, listen, you are equal to anybody. You're not over, you're not below, equal. Just do the best you can. And if somebody does something that you think is not right, speak up. Speak up, because you know what? You have the right to be there to earn whatever you need to earn, and don't dim your light because you're afraid that somebody's going to say something negative about your race. Stand up to them.
Right. I totally agree with you. And then just, yes, stand up to them. Yes, speak up when something isn't right, right? How are the kids going to internalize this? Because I grew up in a town called Milton in Massachusetts, literally the next township outside of Boston, okay? And in moving there, we didn't think we were going to have any issues. Me and my two younger sisters were basically the only Black kids in our whole elementary school. And I say, like, Milton might as well have been Mulberry, okay? The N-word, teachers picking on us, kids picking on us, trying to be bullied and bullies and things like that. And I remember feeling like, I've always been one to speak up, but I remember also feeling that need to code switch and fit in, like you were saying, feeling that need. So then there's like this balance. But how do we go about, Nomalanga, making our kids or our community more resilient to insulating ourselves against the trauma of this? Like, and that's super hard. But how do we start on that path of doing that? Like, we have this situation that just happened with this woman. And how do we start on that path of insulating ourselves culturally? You're on mute.
Sorry. It's actually many layers. One of the things that I really talk a lot about is the building and sustaining of Black families with a strong Black man in the household. Because even as soon as I saw that video, I kind of thought, where's the 5-year-old's parents? Where's the father? Because most fathers that I know would not tolerate. I don't know if the guy who kept asking her, did you say that? Did you say that? Or whatever it is. And also understand that people emboldened emboldened to do things to Black children when they see that there's an absence of a strong father, whether it's in the home or physically there. They actually feel more emboldened. White people are scared of Black men. They don't usually do stupid things right in front of a Black man standing there with his wife and children.
He's autistic too.
Yeah. Exactly. So I did wonder, but to broaden the conversation, it is very important to focus on building strong Black families. It's very important to building Black wealth. The truth is that most corporations, organizations, we end up being in this position where we're begging to be let in, we're begging to be treated equally, we're begging for diversity programs. And I keep saying it over, I'm so over all of that. I believe in building Black structures. I believe in building Black wealth, Black families, Black businesses, because how long are we going to keep begging to be included, begging to be treated well, begging to be recognized? I'm just so over it. And I really believe that we have what it takes to build for ourselves and sustain it. Can we build a Walmart today? Absolutely not. That family, I think they were called the Waltons, did that 100, maybe hundreds of years ago. But imagine if we started having that kind of vision that, okay,
Yes.
fine, we are where we are now, but maybe we won't get to see it. Maybe our children won't get to see it, but our grandchildren are going to see it.
Yeah.
And that has to be our mindset. We have to stop starting over with every generation where we're now fighting to survive and cope as opposed to thriving and succeeding. So,
Yes.
I mean, you just brought me to what I talk about most of the time. It's so
Mhm.
important to build Black families and
Yes.
build Black wealth, Black businesses, and support. It always sounds corny when you say, hey, buy Black, support Black, and all that. But it actually is a very broad conversation where you see
Yes.
that if we don't, we're in the long run endangering ourselves without even recognizing.
That is so true. Nomalanga, that was a mic drop moment. Okay. We're going to go to the next video and we're going to come back and talk a little bit more of that building Black wealth and how that can help us in situations like these in real life and in 150 years. Let's see the video.
I don't think they understand what's actually happening here or why. It is, in the end, a net positive that this woman has raised $500,000. I'm glad she has. I hope she raises $1 million. I will not be joining with some of my conservative friends in wagging my finger at her donors, and I'll explain why. First of all, she does have a legitimate need for the money. The mob is truly trying to get her killed. I don't believe that a woman should have her life threatened for saying a word, even a bad one. Now, you could say freedom of speech, but not freedom from consequences for your speech, all you want. But if losing your livelihood and having your house burned down is a consequence of your speech, then you do not have free speech. Supporting free speech means supporting someone's ability to speak without having their family murdered for it. Okay? I mean, that should be pretty obvious. Second, more importantly, and this is the part that I really need everyone to stop and think about. This is the most devastating attack on cancel culture that we have seen, possibly ever. Shiloh Hendrix has, without really trying, effectively ended cancel culture. As Mark Dice said in his video about the incident, Shiloh is the final boss of cancel culture, or maybe rather the final boss that cancel culture has to fight. And I think that's right. And this is the part that many conservatives seem to be missing. All they see is that this woman said something bad and is now getting rewarded for it. The whole thing is so unsavory that they can't help but recoil. And yeah, it is unsavory. You wish that Shiloh had said or done something that we could affirmatively defend. That would be much easier. Nobody wants to affirmatively defend cussing out a 5-year-old, even though I don't think the kid's actually 5. But none of that is the point. The point is that the only way to put an end to this routine, the routine where the outrage mob mobilizes and assembles to destroy somebody's life, is to disincentivize the routine. And the only way to disincentivize that behavior is to reward the person who's being targeted.
Yeah, when garbage sounds like common sense, right? I mean, I'm always amazed that people can make garbage sound like
they will
common
take it and they will twist it and they will mold it into their narrative that they want to put on it. And again, not surprised at all. Not surprised. And like I said, on one hand, I'll keep it coming. Give her $1 million. Let's see what it really is. Let's list all the names of all the donors. This whatever shit that he was just spewing. It makes no sense. But what do we do? So, Nomalanga, you just dropped the mic and you talked about strong Black families, which yes, 100%. We should be building out the framework for the next 150 years, because they keep us so focused and so busy fighting these little things now. There's always something. There's going to be something. Every week, there's going to be something. There will be something else next week and the week after that. And so I feel like we aren't having enough of these conversations to be like, all right, they're going to do their shit. Okay, so what are we going to do? All right. And building out our framework for this is what we're going to do to build strong Black families. This is what we're going to do to build strong Black communities, Black businesses, Black wealth, strong Black kids. What is our project 150 years from now? What is our project memo? What does that look like? So Aisha, and speaking about that in the next 150 years and what it is that we should be building, what should we be doing financially to safeguard ourselves from the effects of this negativity spewed on our community? Because whether we like it or not, these people are the bullies, right? And we're being seen as the children of society who always have to be saved, who always need to be told what to do, who always need direction, right? We need to police, we need to start policing and organizing ourselves. They're not coming to save us, and we don't need them to save us. We need to really start looking within and in our individual households and communities. So, Aisha, what can we do to financially safeguard ourselves and start putting the prongs in place so that we're not going to be the last rung on the ladder in 150 years?
You know, it starts with us, right? Shop within our own community. Let's make sure we support our businesses, letting our money circulate in our community first before it leaves our community. Otherwise, if we keep looking outward, then we will never build our own. Just like my own family, if I keep looking at what is happening out there, but I don't take care of what's happening in my home, how would I get to where I want to get? So it's important that we, number one, spend the money within ourselves. Do business with each other. If we have a business, support each other's businesses. And if maybe families need help and we're around, we can help them to keep money in the family. Let's help them. Because I think a lot of time too, because we, like when we saw that video, the first one, and so first thing is, where are the parents? Right. But if we support each other that way and we safeguard each other, making sure that somebody is there to protect that family or our community, then we can keep building on what we've already built. But if we don't do that, then we will not have a foundation.
Yes.
Because you're always starting over and over again. That's difficult to build if you're always starting over. So we have to take that, take the reign and say, we have to do this. Now we know this is happening. It's not going to change. We have to help each other out. So this is the only way, because you can't keep looking outward. You have to look, what can we do collectively? Support each other's businesses. If a family needs help and we're able to help them, let's support them so they can keep that finance or money in that family rather than going outward and not being able to build anything.
I agree. All right, we're going to take a little break and we'll be right back.
I know. You're busy, you got things to do, and you can't take us on the go with you every single day. Good news for you. We are now on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, now you can listen to us on Spotify. Search Fly Nubian Money and all the episodes shall appear. All you have to do is like, subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, leave some comments, tell people how you love us so that when other people come along and are looking for a great show to watch, they can find Fly Nubian Money too. One last thing, and just in case you've been sitting under a rock, Fly Nubian Money now has an investment club. We are the Fly Nubian Money Club. It's easy. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com, and I am committed to bringing in top experts from all industries to help you level up. They're teaching us the skills that we need to compete in this market. We often say that nobody is coming to save us, not the government, but guess what? We're coming to save us. I'm coming to save you with the Fly Nubian Money Club. So listen, all you have to do again is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com. We have a 30-day free trial set up just for you, just for those people that are struggling. Even if you ain't struggling, you ain't got to struggle. I'm coming. Okay, let me stop playing. I'll see you soon.
All right, y'all.
I know you're busy.
Go to flynubianmoneyclub.com and get your free trial. I want to hear from people in the chat. What do you guys, where are you with where we are in the conversation about the next 150 years and what we should be doing to safeguard ourselves, our families, insulate ourselves and our families in our communities from the impact of this racist society that we live in and the impact of these things that we know will just keep continuing. These attacks will just keep continuing. We've got to get to the point where we almost like Teflon. It just bounces off. Like, okay, yeah, moving on. Okay, that's where we have to get, because I'm telling you, growing up or in this kind of neighborhood and school system where we were the onlys, they loved to get you riled up. And bullies, they get satisfaction from that. They really, really do. So, Joe, what do you think, like what support systems should be in place for parents or families to help children process these things that go on racially, right in their communities, or on an everyday basis at the grocery store or in the Walmart? Literally, before you answer that, I was driving around my new neighborhood, right? This is in the city of Boston, very mixed neighborhood, white people, black people, Asian, everything. So I saw a house being built or renovated. And so I stopped. There were two white ladies out there. And I stopped and I was like, oh, wow, is this house being built from the ground up? And just to give you an example of like the microaggressions, Joe, that you just go through. So she paused. Now, this is in the city. She paused and she was like, yeah. And she's looking like weird, like what? Like I have two heads. Like, why am I asking her questions about this house? And I was just trying to be a friendly neighbor, like, oh, I'm doing a renovation on my house, and yeah, like we can relate and things like that. And she was just like so standoffish. And I remember driving away, being like, that is such a shame, but this is what they do. Now, I bet you when she gets that house done and I have that house done and I'm walking in the neighborhood, she'll smile and give me the fake smile and everything. But these microaggressions are happening every single day. Every single day. And it's like sometimes you internalize it, sometimes you're like just like whatever, but it takes extra energy to let it just roll off your back. So what strategies or what things can we put in place for parents or families and children to counteract what's going on with these issues in our country?
Right. So the goal is to insulate ourselves, but not through disengagement. Somebody might say, well, I'll just ignore it or whatever. We can still engage, but we just have to be intentional about how we protect our spirit and our peace. And then, when you're talking about strategies, you have to, one, speak truth to power. Like, I can't be lied to about racism, discrimination, systematic oppression. I know these things exist, so I'm not going to engage in conversations that are lending me to argue that they exist. I refuse. I already know they exist, so I'm not going to try to convince you or anybody else that they do. So speaking truth to power, and that's like through our literature, through our media, through our art, we have to speak truth to power about who we are and pride in ourselves over and over again. Like Nomalanga said, like it's sad that the generations keep starting over, and we have to stop starting over and stick in that place and start creating intergenerational safe spaces in our churches, in our barbershops, in our beauty salons, in our schools, where we are being real about who we are and our existence and our position in this country. And then taking pride in the fact of the things that we have accomplished and we continue to accomplish and we overcome. So there's no shame in being Black. The frustration, we can't convince people, oh, stop being racist to us. We're not going to win that way. It has to be internal. Everything that we need to do needs to be internalized. And I'm talking about in all the spaces that we exist, and also therapy groups. Okay, we need to get into therapy groups and express our rage internally instead of externally, because we somehow, the expectation of us, like we're not human, or we get dehumanized because if somebody's slinging racial slurs at us, we have the expectation that we have to remain calm. Because if we don't remain calm, we're not civilized. No, being angry at racial slurs and racial discontent is not uncivilized, it's human.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, we have to make sure that we're in therapy groups, because although we're justified in being enraged strategically, it not necessarily doesn't benefit us to go out and be enraged.
Yes.
But we have to express that rage somewhere. So I'm also saying therapy groups.
Yes.
So, and just wherever we are, be places where you can be proud and be Black.
Right. I love that. I love that. And I totally agree. Be places where you can be proud and be Black and express internally with ourselves too. Because I think there's a place for the external rage, because we don't want to seem like, oh, we're not bothered, so keep on doing it. But I think that more insulated, safe space for us to be like, this is some bullshit, is more therapeutic for us. And helps us not come across as victim in like a victimhood mentality type thing, because that's how they see it. But let's roll the next video.
I don't want to live in a country where you can say an inappropriate, rude thing, which, by the way, Black people can say things to white people all the time and they never get canceled. There's no backlashing about this. I want to live in a country where people are allowed to say what they want unashamedly. And you will
well, go
not
on then,
have
say it. Say
you
the
will
M-
not have
Go on,
free
say,
speech.
go on. Say the M word. Go on.
I'm not
Hang on.
Don't invite. No.
No.
I don't want you to invite this woman to say a racially harmful term in front of me, because I'm the only on here. So if she says it, I'm the victim of it. So please don't invite her for ratings to call me the N-word, because that's basically what it's going to be. There's a bunch of white people up here, you and one Uncle Tom on the left here, and to ask her to say the N-word while I'm here is ridiculous. You would not sit here with a Jewish person and say, please use a Jewish slur in front of this Jewish. It's ridiculous. I understand you don't have any bad intent, Pierce. I understand what you're trying to do, but we already know she's racist, and I don't want to invite a racial harm to me.
I hear you, and I accept that, and we'll leave it there.
So first of all, who was the clown? Who was the clown, the man of color who was laughing? I've seen him before. This is okay. So just like you were just saying, Joe, about expressing outwardly, I think that he was definitely within his right to express like that. But I'm just saying they love it.
This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he was right in everything he said, but did you feel uncomfortable watching him say it?
Yes.
I don't engage in conversations like this. Why, like, I understand what he's doing. It's his job. It's his, it's his livelihood. But for me, to protect my internal peace, I don't engage in panels like that. I would not be there to be in that position for him to invite somebody to bring a racial slur on him. I wouldn't be there.
Yeah. So that being said, Nomalanga, what role does media play in perpetuating this challenging narrative of Black people as the victim and doing little bullshit like Pierce just did, and around racism and hate, and also the double standard when it comes to what Black people do and what white people do? What role does media have in that?
See, the hysterical Black guy is Mark Lamont Hill. And granted, he has his feelings and he's entitled to them, but I don't see any good coming out of him, whatever that was, that whole drama that he's doing that I feel he put on. Pierce, on the other hand, when he said say it, he shouldn't do that, but at the same time, he was actually challenging that lady to think, okay, you said this was okay. If it's okay, then why don't you say it? And by not saying it, she's actually admitting that she somehow knows that it's not right. That's why she was kind of,
good point,
ducking around the thing. And he was like, just say it. If there's nothing wrong with it, just say it. So I don't think the hysterical Mark Lamont Hill was necessary. You won't get heard by people. You won't get respected by people by acting hysterical and not making strong points. And actually, he could have easily said, look, I understand what you're trying to do, Pierce. She's not saying it because she knows that it's wrong. But at the same time, what you're doing right here is you're inviting her to do this. I'm the only Black person. He could have literally said it with a strong, authoritative, calm, respectable way, right? So media is a two-edged sword. I've always believed in, I don't have any training in, like I didn't go to college for media, but I've used media for the last 15 years as my strongest tool. And it's a two-edged sword. You get heard by people that you would not have, that would not have heard you thanks to social media, thanks to all these YouTube, Facebook, all of these things. You reach people who need to hear what you're saying. But at the same time, when you're not on your P's and Q's, you're also now exposing yourself again as like some hysterical basket case. So it's a two-edged sword, but when used correctly, I really believe in the power of media. When we first started doing all these podcasts and things, which was like back in like 2010 or so, it wasn't that common, it wasn't that popular to have Black voices actually go to other Black people and reach them, unless you were watching BET, which then also started changing in terms of,
because they were owned by white people.
So I respect media and using it as a tool as long as we use it correctly.
I agree, and you brought up some great points as far as respect right? When you react in that way, and of course, like, it's warranted that he felt that way. But when you react that way, they don't respect you. So he knew he was going on that panel. He should have already been prepared for whatever was going to come out of that. And knowing with his training, another great point that you brought up, if any of us were put in that situation and we did that, it'd be like, oh, well, I didn't know what to do in that moment because we're not trained. He's trained. He's done this a lot. This clip reminded me of, I don't know if you guys remember it, some Van Jones clip from like years ago when he was crying on, and I was just like, what? Like, I don't want to see my Black men up there looking weak. And they're just like, oh, poor Van. And it was just so, it almost made me nauseous to watch it. So if we're going to go on like platforms like this, we need to be ready. We need to be ready for what they're going to throw at us. And like you said, be on our P's and Q's. So Joe, I saw you rolling your head. What were you rolling your head? What were you rolling your head about? Because it's just
talk about that Van Jones moment, man.
You remember that?
Yes, I do remember it. I was triggered.
So bothered.
And let me say, Mark, although, I don't like what he did there, but I understand it. You know what I mean? I think Nomalanga was right when she was talking about, showed up how it doesn't benefit him to look that way.
Yes.
And I agree with that. Strategically, we can't do that, but I understand it. Like I don't want to dehumanize him for being triggered in that moment.
Right.
Because that's what, racism has done. It makes it say that we cannot get mad in these moments and we're somehow less than or we failed if we do. Meanwhile, we're constantly being told, we're monkeys and people spitting on us, but the expectation is, we need to be calm in all of those moments, and we can't always do that. It's an impossible standard to set.
Yeah.
And we are not less than or uncivilized if someone hurling hated us triggers us.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
We want to be better. We want to be whole. So we should deal with all of our emotional triggers, right?
Yes.
But racism is an emotional trigger for a lot of us. And sometimes we haven't really dealt with it. So when you're triggered, what do you do? No matter what you do, you know what I mean? You're going to explode.
Yes. And I totally 100% understand that. Like, I totally 100%, like I was like, what? But again, I'm untrained. I'm untrained in media, right? And he is somewhat representing us because he's the one on the panel representing us. So like Nomalanga was saying, like, there was a way to combat that, but there was a way to combat that in a calm manner. But again, we're human, and sometimes people will have their moment. And yes, there needs to be space for that. I'm just saying I don't like to see it in media. I don't like to see it because it just further perpetuates that us being the victim or us being less than in that moment. But he's totally within his rights to have that moment. So Aisha, what action steps would you recommend to someone watching this and feeling helpless? And Joe, I'm gonna throw that to you too. Like, because, okay, I guess we got to go to our final thoughts. So Aisha, we'll start with you. What are your final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I really believe that we experience what we allow. We do. We'll experience what we allow. If we, in our own homes, allow each other to be called crazy names, and we think it's okay, and people know that we do that to each other, then they feel they have the right to call us the same. So I think it's important that we also examine ourselves and the way we talk to each other, because people are watching us. So that is very important, that we will experience what we allow. And we should take the moment to maybe take a deep breath. If something is not right, there's an injustice happening right in front of us that we're experiencing, well, let's take a moment, take a deep breath, and then respond. Right? The video we watched was terrible, right? And nobody should be gaining or making money out of it. But again, because they feel they have the right to do that to us, because we do that to each other, they feel comfortable doing that. So we experience what we allow. With that being said, we are made in the image of God. So somebody calls you, whatever name they want to call you, just remind them that that is their opinion. It's nothing to do with you. And we have to get to that space. We can't allow things to always affect us so radically that we can move forward. And if you ever have questions about finances, you want to protect your wealth, because things like this affect us in our finances, talk to me. I'll try to help you. And I'm in the Black Business School, and also www.aishaverzi.com.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Aisha. And Nomalanga, your final thoughts?
So I feel like I'm often like a broken record, but I will just reiterate what I think I've already said in this podcast today already. I think it's very important that we look at the grand scheme of things, that we're working on building Black families with a strong Black man in the home. We're working on building Black wealth. I also believe in homeschooling Black children. Now, homeschooling doesn't mean that you entirely remove your children from the public or private school system and put them in the house and insulate them from everything. It means that even when they are in school or outside of the home, the parent becomes the primary person who unpacks for them what is happening in the world, who puts it in context for them, who teaches them what it means, who teaches them who they are. That's what homeschooling is. It's teaching us to love ourselves, to respect each other, to respect ourselves, and to really take pride in being Black, building Black families, building Black wealth, and doing it for hundreds of years to come. I can't emphasize that enough. Where you can find me, my name is Nomalanga. I am on Facebook as Nomalanga Shalaye Moses. I'm also on Instagram as Noma Moses, and I also have my YouTube channel, also under the name of Nomalanga Shalaye Moses.
Thank you so much, Nomalanga. Yes, the struggle continues, and I agree with you. I love what you said about homeschooling. I agree too. What about you, Joe? What's your final thought?
I'm just going to talk to the folks that are wondering. I saw a couple questions in the chat about when we should be having these conversations, or should we be sheltering our children from that. And I'm going to tell you, I don't think that we should be sheltering our children. That actually can be harmful. If we don't name racism for what it is, often and early, then those kids start blaming themselves when they experience it, and they're going to feel triggered or gaslit when their pain is just dismissed, and I don't want that for anybody's kids. So, we got to tell our kids, some people get treated unfairly because of the color of their skin, and it's okay. It's not okay. And it's not your fault either. And I want you all to be proud of who you are. I want to be proud of who you are. So I'm gonna validate. I want y'all to validate your children's experience, and then empower them to understand who and what they are, because that's how we combat this thing, and we can avoid the generational repeat of this over and over and over again, by asking people to stop hiding and avoiding these things. And then when somebody like Trump comes along and he's out in the open, everybody's clutching their pearls, like Trump invented racism. He's not even the worst president that we've had in our history, as far as racism goes. So we shouldn't be, if we get out in the open in front of these things, maybe stuff like this doesn't happen, and maybe we don't feel so threatened when it does. So you can follow me on all socials, J Corley 80 on Instagram. Come see me Tuesday night. I'm going to be doing a panel with 3 other therapists on my podcast, Vulnerability Isn't Sexy. And we're going to open it up, man. I really want y'all to come in the chat with all your questions. I'm going to have 2 women, including Felice, the big coach, and we're going to be answering all the questions. So I want y'all to come join us. And if you're interested in tapping in with some healing, realuconsulting.com. And I'm just looking for everybody to work internally to heal themselves, and we will be all better externally when you start doing it.
Yes. Thank you so much, Joe. And I want to come on Tuesday, so I got to get that information from you. So my final thoughts, I know that we look at stories like this and things like this that happen, and it does chip away at our peace. It chips away at our self-esteem. If we let it, it can chip away at your self-worth. But I believe, like we've been talking about today, what are the steps? What are the actionable things that we can actually do in order to counteract the effects of all of that? Because we really do need to insulate ourselves. I feel like we need to have this 150-year plan for our families and for our community and culture as a whole. And that includes, like Joe was saying, the honesty and having the hard conversations with our kids, having the hard conversations with each other, because we've also probably gotten really complacent in this society, just thinking that these things don't exist like they used to, and they do. So 150-year plan as far as what we're going to do to build Black wealth, more Black businesses, more Black home ownership, land ownership, property ownership, more Black health as far as mental health, as far as wealth is concerned. Those go hand in hand. And then it all begins with our strong Black children and having a strong Black family. So those are my final thoughts. My name is Shalaye Camillo. I am CEO of Vital Source Realty. You can find me at vitalsourcerealty.com. You can find me on Instagram at Shalaye Camillo. And I can help you wherever you live in the United States, buy or sell a property. So reach out to me. I would love to help. And that is our show for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Hate speech is not going to be over anytime soon. And we just need to get tough, and we're going to have to deal with it. So thank you so much for having this conversation with us, and we will see you next time. Peace.